Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome all to the online course Structure, Form and Architecture, the Synergy. Now we move on to the lecture number 3, Relationship of Structure to Architectural Building, part 2. So, in the same topic, lecture number 2, we discussed about different structural example that actually fulfilled the concept of different architectural form. So, we discussed in detail like different concept of say dynamic, static, or it may be like your chaos or in order form of architecture, and how structure help to bring those concepts into reality. Now, in this lecture what we learn, that is the architectural qualities. Now, what exactly the qualities? We are not talking about the qualities of the material to be used for that. Basically, we are talking about the overall experience, that quality in this lecture, and also we will see that how different structures that help to maintain that quality, to achieve that quality. Now, in this again we have some 5 pairs of that qualities, architectural qualities, where we will talk about the simplicity and complexity, open and closed, lightweight, heavy, soft versus hard, elegant versus rough. So, this terminologies sometimes is create confusion. What about the lightweight and heavy? So, we will not really measure the weight of the building or the structure. So, basically it is not directly leading to the physical weight of the building, but the arrangement of overall building, how it look like, how we perceive that building. Again, the soft and hard is not like a building called soft is we touch and then we have some depression on it and having higher elasticity, it is not. So, looking at that how soft, and sometimes we say a building, the formation and the structure used in that building giving a hard form or sense. So, simplicity is basically very simplistic form of creating those architectural quality with some structural element. And now we move on to the first one, simplicity versus complexity, and we will try to understand these architectural qualities and structure relationship with some case study, some examples. So, first we take this particular image of Villa Savoye, Paris. Again it is a beautiful architecture which having a perfect blend with the nature, with this outset, like it is being created with very simple form. Now, the way like looking at the building, we say it very simple. So, that convey the meaning of simplicity here. So, in this if you see the elevation is very similar, the front and rear. So, again they have a ribbon window. So, ribbon window and these openings are very similar, then the material, the color, texture, everything is very similar. So, is very straight composition of some rectangle and some cylindrical form, some cuboid and cylindrical form. So, basically it creates simplicity. Now, move to the next example. This is the example of one Boston place. Here also it is a high rise building. So, the if you see the structure like Burj Al Arab and all, again for the high rise it is also having some complex structural system which actually making this structure strong, along with the regular membership structural member, they have some structural bracing Okay. So, like structural bracing is something where you have to resist from the lateral force. So, along with your members you go for supporting those elements with some cross brace. Okay. So, depending on the floor, and if you see that it is being connected to that, and sometimes it is exposed to the externally, or sometimes it is not. So, here also it is very straightforward if we try to just draw the simple elevation. So, it is example of some vertical lines which is very straight form of architecture, and then horizontal line of these windows. So, even the structure is very huge, but it seems very simple, it conveys the simplicity of architectural quality. So, both the picture go back to the earlier one. So, this is one example, is a very not a very high rise structure. This is very like 2-story structure, there you maintain the simplicity in the quality with similar kind of elevational treatment from the front and the from the all the sides. Now, here what we have seen that this is a high rise building, but then also like with vertical and horizontal lines, it is creating a simple simplicity quality of the architecture. Now, move to the complexity, how we can get it. So, this is one example is really a wonder of the world, and this is Eiffel Tower. So, in this, if you see, if you click photo, if you visit this place, definitely you will have some photograph, some selfie groupie here. So, this is very beautiful structure where it is making a very symmetrical axis. Okay. And these ornaments, all these arrangement looks very beautiful from a distance. But if you have a close look to those corners, the 4 legs of this, and see the arrangement. So, different kind of prismatic truss, different kind of steel arrangement, the way they are laid together, their connections. So, it is not very simple, looking at this is looking very complex. Okay. So, that is why this particular image is depicting the complexity of architectural quality. So, this is also important thing, sometimes we put this complexity to the structural element to create like sometimes it we can refer back to the again the chaos concept that we discussed in the previous lecture, lecture number 2. So, it is one example of the complexity. Let us take another example of complexity. What is complex here? Basically, if you see the curvature, so it is giving a very smooth transition. Definitely we appreciate this, but the complexity is basically the roofing, how the structure is being made and where from it is going up, down. So, everything those arrangement of structure that actually help to bring this concept into reality and give the quality of this complexity. So, sometimes complexity does not mean that we will not like that building because of the structural haphazard or chaos in the system. So, this is example from Harbin Opera House in China, where it is one example of the architectural quality convey the complexity. Move to the second architectural quality, that is open and closed. Before I just go to few slides for taking some reference from different study, just let us guess what exactly will be there in the slide. So, what is open and what is closed? So, open quality architecture means where you experience some openness. It need not to be the open to sky, but the structure you make little light, or you make the structure in such a manner that you create a transparency, so that you can connect with the external environment. That is one openness we can say. Sometimes it may be that you create the space so spacious that we do not feel congested and feeling having some openness, we can connect ourselves with the nature. So, some examples, if you see that most of the international airport, good airports, they have the waiting bay facing the runway. So, while waiting you can connect with the runway the visually, and then you can see the flight taking like landing and flights are taking off. So, this is somewhat sometimes we create this kind of architectural quality with open type of arrangement, and closed is very confined, where like you cannot really see that quality, like you feel very confined and you are forced to see what is to be shown by the design. So, you cannot connect with the external environment. So, both of them are having the requirement in the field of architecture. Say for example, closed form architecture, where this quality is to be maintained especially for the museum and some area where like there is no need to connect it with the external, which may rather hamper the internal environment. So, there we go for this kind of thing. So, now let us see what is to be meant. So, this is one example of Suvarnabhumi International Airport, Bangkok. Okay, I personally experienced this space, and really it is something like where a long waiting can also not will not matter much because of this connection. So, there are many advantages to create this open type of qualities. First of all, you can connect with the external environment. You can see this person facing outside, enjoying the operation, flight operations and other thing, as well as maybe this corridor, which is not much spacious for that, but then also it make it grand, so that you do not feel congested to it. This is another image of that, how well it is being made. And this structure, so there are some steel members which are running through, and these are some glass material which is creating this openness with making transparency, and where we can see through the outside environment. Now, move to the next example of openness. Yes. So, this is another example of that kind, which is Louvre Museum in Paris. Here also, like it is a glass pyramid kind of thing, where space frame is installed that are acting as a structural member. So, all these structural members they placed together in a form to create the pyramid, and it is covered with some glass, so that you are protected. At the same time, when you are inside, you can still get connected with the environment, with the outside environment. So, that is sometimes encouraging, you feel very much comfortable, very much secure, that you can connect with the external, you know everything what is going outside, what is happening outside. So, this is another architectural quality leading to openness, but to create it in both the example, the previous one and this one, the common thing is that use of some steel members which create some void, and we fill it up with some transparent material. So, which is helping us to create this kind of open quality, like quality wise the openness to the architecture, and the supporting structure should be like that. Now, move to the closed form. Now, in this example, this is again taken from the same book, Structure as Architecture, written by Charlson. And here if you see that though we do not have the wall all around, but the way they are placed, you are in a closed form, you cannot see this. Okay, only this axis is having some openness. So, in some arrangement we get this kind of thing. So, this may be a door or something. So, this is creating a closed form, and if you make it more in that manner, In this only this opening you can see, otherwise it is very closed form. So, this is maybe some museum kind of thing, and where this may be some other form closer. Now, take example of our residential building, a bedroom, a typical bedroom. So, we have this opening this side and maybe the door like for our region. So, maybe we have window for cross ventilation and all, we have visual connection. Now, in some of the building you just maybe this is a dining area, you make it full glass or make it very transparent, so that you can get connected. So, for both the cases the use of structural element will be different to create this to make it stable and create this environment to get connected with the environment and make it open or closed form. So, these are the concept plan. So, more closed form from A to C. Now, let us experience it. Now, in this closed form, this is another example, as I mentioned that mostly the closed form or closed say architectural quality being observed in most of the museum, because sometimes they do not need the daylight, the sunlight, because to protect the artifacts kept there from the light, and they rely on the artificial lighting or with some different purposes. Now, here also this is museum. So, this is obviously a some story building. So, here they have some glass opening, not opening, it is a closed form. So, in order to get some light from the top, so they create this, but apart from that if you see this elevation, so it is all closed, no opening, no window like a normal building that we put in. So, this is one example of the closed architectural quality that being designed. Even in this inside they also do not have any opening or any such window opening to connect the outside environment. They have something skylight from the top, so that this corridor will be illuminated for the activity. So, unpenetrated high wall creates a sense of closed form. So, if you get some window here or something, so definitely this will not be taken as this category. This is another example from India. This is newly built Bihar Museum in Patna. Again another example in the museum category, where you can see this is from the entrance. This is a mass. This is very nicely created with some cotton steel, which is weather steel, and having some texture with that exposed concrete. So, it is creating a very contrasting architecture, but overall if you see the quality category, so it is again a closed form, although they have very nice environment inside, but from outside it is looking very closed. So, for museum the previous one from Spain and this example from India, Patna. So, here the structure is being made with this. So, to make this closed form architecture, the structural application will be different because of the span and all, and when we have to create some punctures, this all this equation, all this load calculation will differ, because the moment you create some puncture in the surface or the wall, definitely the material you used, whether glass or wood as window, the calculation will change. So, we have to see what is required and what type of quality to come up with. Now, move to the lightweight and heavy. Again I am saying this lightweight or heavy does not mean that it is the physical weight of the structure. Definitely when architecture look very lightweight, overall like physical weight will be comparatively less, but definitely here it is the visual light weight or heaviness of the building. So, say for example, if I just want to make a door, so I can just create some arch of brick and I just make it supported. So, this is one with a very simple form. So, this is another, the same I just make with a huge support to that, and then in order to give considerably small thickness, I create it large to make it grand, or I create some ornamentation where the thickness is much higher than the small one. So, this will make it literally heavy, or if you create more detail into it, add some elements. So, that will make it very heavy, visually heavy, whereas it is very simple, sleek and considerably lightweight. Now, move to the example. This is from the airport mostly, and you will also get many example mostly for the airport and all, as because like the airport deal with so many passengers. So, movement of passengers is the basic principle, how they can move passengers, they can facilitate passengers and make them an environment which will be very comfortable to them. So, they create the space, and that should be obstruction free, one can connect with other, everything should be visible. So, for that we should go for basically a column free space, where these are the transitional space where we get it, and we only use those heavy structure or the piers to support it where it is required. Otherwise, we have to make the roofing very much light. So, for that truss can be used, space frame can be used. So, these are the structural element which small dimension or small cross section of the iron members can hold this, and along with the advantage of that, you can create some translucent environment which will allow light to pass on, so that you can also maximize the daylight use. So, make this structure very light. Even you see this huge span and look into the roof, it is very looking very transparent, and only few members are just holding the load, the space frame and all, similar to this one also. So, you just have a feel of the structure is very light, visually light, may not be the light the way we think. If you add all the load and all, it will be a substantial, but visually we can say that it is light, and it is only possible when you create this kind of roofing with the truss, and you do not have any further use of it, because the moment if you want to make it more story and all, so probably this kind of structural roofing will not be possible, and that time you have to face that very hard type ceiling on top of you. So, this is possible for this, and normally for the airport these are being used. So, this is one example for the lightweight quality and obvious. So, now this is very important for a stadium, the huge area to be covered up for the spectator, to protect them for the unwanted weather situation. It may be a scorching heat or it may be a rain. So, for that there has to be protect, and for that definitely the main principle that any spectator sitting anywhere in that stadium should enjoy the match going on or any sports going on in the field clearly. So, we cannot have the heavy column structure to support the roof. So, that is the constraint. In order to overcome that constraint, so we should think of some of the light structure. So, it is possible with some membrane structure. So, what is membrane structure? So, basically membrane is a very thin sheet, it may be made of rubber, it may be of cloth, and it is to be supported with a minimal structural element. And here you can see, if you can see that there are some piers outside just attached to the stadium, where like these members are cabled. So, this is a tensile cable structure, okay, and we will also discuss what exactly it is, and it hold it, and they put some material which will allow light to come, but it will also protect from these things. So, looking at this, definitely it is feeling very light structure. So, transparency also play crucial role to feel this, the visual perception of lightness. So, lightweight roof structure create column free activity space, which is essential not only in the stadium. In the same Olympic stadium in Munich, they have created similar kind of arrangement, entrance gate for that. Again, it is under the same category of lightweight. So, both the example, if you see that this is a example from the airport and next one is the stadium. So, if you go to any stadium and then you can get it. Now, come to heavy. This is St. John University library. So, here if you see what is heaviness in this, there is no such obstruction, regular obstruction, because again it is being created, but this is basically a structure which is look very heavy. So, this is like a branches of a tree which is holding the roof. So, instead of having this, in order to remove this regular obstruction, one has created this kind of structure, but inside it if you look into this, it look very heavy and very congested. So, congestion, feeling of heaviness, they are closely related. So, in this structure is one example of the heaviness, and the material used, the concrete and all, where you have a large cross section and all, we actually perceive it is very heavy. Move to the next example. Here also if you see this example from Brazil, this is again area of the art form and all. So, huge concrete structure, look very simple, right. If you say that you put this example into the simplicity, yes, it is not very complex, but having this mass, okay, heavy wall of the concrete, it creates the sense of heaviness. So, in these two example, one is from the library where the supporting piers having different branches holding the roof, creating a sense of heaviness, and this one is itself those elements, okay, it is creating the architectural quality under the category heaviness. Now, move to the soft and hard. Already I mentioned soft does not mean that material used in that building is very soft in nature, or hard is a very hard material. So, let us say this. So, in this is one example of Tama Art University, Japan. So, in this if you see the plan is something like this, where plan is in curve and in the elevation also it is in curve. So, double curvature creates a softness, as because whenever we draw any curved line, it is representing the softness, it symbolizes the wave, the flow and all, and whenever we go for a straightforward straight line, it is representing hard in that concept. So, in this it is very smooth and soft, and this arches, even the interior of this space is having those multiple curvature, the plan, even the arrangement of those furnitures. So, altogether it is showing a soft flow. So, curved structure both in plan elevation with suitable geometry, irregularity, flowing of softness both in exterior and interior space. Let us. So, I think in this I do not need to really say about this, it is a nice example of a flow wave. So, this is a apartment building in Denmark, where the roof is being created in such a manner, it is looking very soft. So, again I am mentioning this soft is not about the material quality, it is the visual softness. So, here we can easily make this, and it happens sometimes when we are just unintentionally or in subconscious mind, when we play with the pen, instead of making straight line, always we just make something like this, right. So, this is the softness, and when you make a line, it is a bold statement, bold line, it represent the hardness. So, move to the hardness from the softness. So, back to back, this is a flow, and here it is something like is a very bold, like say for arrangement of some stone placed together with a minimalistic form and the heavy thickness and the material that used stone type. So, it is giving the example of the hardness in the architecture. So, this is also important, this is nice example of Holy Redeemer Church in Spain, and people they do appreciate it is in in a good review in architectural forum, and then this is really one example of the hard quality. That is so true. This is another art foundation. Here also if you see, like as already mentioned, very straight line and then use of this concrete structure placed in form, it is giving a visual sense of hardness, okay, and no opening also, no openings or no such visual connection with the outside in this surface is one example of the hardness. Now, we are moving to the last pair of qualities, that is the elegant and rough. Elegant, the word it is defined is very very perfect, very smooth or very sophisticated, and when rough is something like very brute. So, some things we create. So, say for example, like if you see any such Gothic architecture or something. So, there is small creation, small ornamentation to the structure is piece of elegant, and roughness where it lead to the deconstruction concept to the architecture. So, let us clear our this concept little bit clear with example. So, this is one of my favorite example designed by Felix Candela oceanographic building. So, here what happens, why it is I put it in the elegant category. Suppose this is a very good curvilinear form of architecture where parabolic, hyperbolic, paraboloid, this kind of form being used, and Felix Candela is good in that. So, in this is perfectly executed, the thickness, the petal form or something, the seal form. So, it is been created very accurately from inside also. The this is giving elegance to the example of this elegance experience to the users in this. So, rhythmic flow created through curves makes the structure very much elegant. Now, this is another example, a terminal building again from India. This is Mumbai International Airport. This is the entrance, and the beauty in this particular transition. So, smooth transition of column and roof with different elements, it's create very elegant, very beautifully done with a small solid void, shade and light. So, basically the overall ambience is giving a sense of elegant quality of architecture, and it is possible through the structure. So, the purpose, as I mentioned, for the airport, this is a huge span. If you can get some idea, this is a car, it may be of less than 2 meter and then you can place it. So, this is a huge span that is being supported with this, and this particular smooth transition sorry, and they are like creating this particular piece very elegant. Now, come to the rough. So, rough structure can be created like the way we put it. It may not be something like the result of ignorance during the construction, that somebody just left the job in half done, and that is why the outcome is that. Intentionally it may be created to create some contrast. So, this is one example of Skriner's museum in Sweden, where this extension is made. So, if you have a close look, so it is something rusted steel, but it is not. This is being created with a cotton like steel, which is weather steel, and which is seasoned with some chemical into it, which will protect this from the external environment. And this similar material being used in the Patna museum, you can get the detail if you search more on that, and this is basically the exposed concrete. So, with this rough finish with your steel, and then this the concrete is giving something not really bad architecture, I guess. It is making a composition and creating the contrast, these two particular color creating contrast that sometimes we are talking about in architecture, and create this rough quality in maintaining it without compromising the stability and durability of the structure. Let us take the last example in the rough category, where it is again the seashore library, where it is again a concrete structure. If you see the roof, and it is finished very rough, and also the cladding has been done giving a exposed finish. So, when you put shuttering with the wooden, it puts some impression on the concrete without plastering. If you go with that, so it is giving a rough finish. So, we appreciate this kind of thing in some of the cases. Definitely it is not maintaining or compromising in quality, or it is not to be made for the cost cutting to have the beautiful finish. Sometimes with the rough quality can be maintained, but to get it we have to be choosy about the structural material that we will use it to create it. We cannot create it with all the materials available to us, but definitely. So, we have to be choosy when to use it to make it rough or elegant or smooth. Come to the summary, we summarize this particular lecture. So, in this we actually learned about the quality, architectural quality. So, suitable selection is very important. It is essential to bring the architectural visual quality into reality. So, if we want the quality of open form, then definitely that thing should be your very much light, and that should be supported. Not only the structural element, but also structural material, as I mentioned in last two slides, that where like the cotton steel, that material being used, which is strong in the in order to make it stable, as well as this is creating some rough finish. So, material, structural material is another important part to create the visual quality, whether it is making rough and all. So, we have to know about the materials, and definitely we will cover that aspect in some of the lectures. And most importantly, the overall arrangement should solve the purpose. So, like when we maintain, think of the quality, quality definitely will come, but before that it should solve the purpose. If requirement is to create the column free area, then that is the constraint to us, and the available options, which options are not to be used, we have to discard that. Then we have to select the best option for this, whether it is a truss or it is a like your space frame, or sometimes you need something to be very bold and very closely placed, then maybe these are not being used. So, with that we have to understand the structural material, the suitable selection of structure, maintaining quality, and the purpose to be solved without compromising it. Then structural quality should not be compromised. So, even we talked about the visual quality of architecture to select the structure, but then also we have to say like take care of the structural quality. It should be strong enough, stable enough, and durable enough, because it incurred not only the cost of construction, but also it is dealing with the life, and so life of people or any living creatures. So, it is very important to make it very safe. So, structural quality and visual quality, they should be act together to have a desired result. So, this is overall understanding. So, with lecture 2 and 3 we know about the different concept, architectural concept, and different architectural quality, and this association with the structure, type of structure that support this concept and quality, which is having a relation. So, the relationship to the architectural building is being justified with that, and in time to time we will also discuss some of the more examples in different context. So, these are the same reading materials, some books you can refer, and all the pictures and other, they are actually referenced. You can go through and read more about the structure to know about their function. You can also get some more information about the history or maybe the material used. So, next will be discussed in lecture number 4 the different kind of loads on structure. I just somewhere discretely mentioned about different kind of loads. So, we will discuss in detail in that lecture. Thank you all to take part in this. Thank you.